Bem-vindo! Hoje é o nosso primeiro programa falando no inglês, no ConecTv.
Welcome to the Algarve by ConecTv.
Natalia Rosso Properties, your key to unlocking your dream home. Kit and Caboodle, high-quality pre-loved furniture. GC Partners, our service is our currency. At Living Life Algarve by Kat Almeida.
Good morning. Good morning, and dare I say howdy to our latest studio that's opened in Texas. Great to have you with us. So it's game on. We're quite new here doing this programme. You're the latest kids on the block, as it were. So I can't wait to share and see your stories, and I hope you like ours. So I've done my tribute to you today. That's it for the moment. Importantly, now we're going to talk journeys. So ConecTv has just increased their journey. So we've gone over to Texas, we've opened over there. And us as immigrants, there's thousands of us, millions of us everywhere. We've got a lot here in the Algarve. We've got a lot in Portugal. And of course, this extends to any immigrant in any country. We've all had a journey. We've all been on a long journey. We've all ended up where we are for a reason. And my guest today, Alícia Rodrigues, has had probably more reason than many, but more than that, you've written your book, memoirs of this journey, right, which I have to say are, disturbing's not the right word. You rattle cages, you push buttons, you're so identifiable that yes, it's a journey that I want to go on with you. Although I've got to say some bits are a little bit scary. So how did you start? What's brought you to Portugal? Where did your journey begin?
You know, there is a monk called Pema Chodron. She's written some really great books. And she talks about life as constantly throwing yourself out of the nest. And that's pretty much sums up my life. It's like every time I seem to get comfortable, I'm ready to jump out of the nest again. So I think I've had several iterations of my life. When people talk about reinventing your life, I actually don't look at it as a reinvention. I look at it more as like an amplification of what's been. Okay. So here I am, I've grown, now I have to amplify. Here I am, I've grown. So I'm always like pushing.
So wherever you were, it's reached the end of its benefit to you, if you like. And it's
right, and so that's what people go through when they do life transitions, except that they're not conscious. They just feel a kind of pressure or an unease or something's not quite right kind of thing. But I'm just uber conscious of that kind of thing, maybe because of the work I do. So, you know, the journey starts like immigrant parents from Colombia in the United States, growing up in the United States as a Latina kid who when I went to school, didn't speak English. Then, you know, doing the whole college thing, living in France for a junior year abroad, always looking to expand. I built several businesses. The latest one was a leadership development coaching business that I still run. And the thread that's gone through the whole thing has been the writing. I have always been writing. And the first book I published in 2007, and then this life took me into different directions, successful business. And then I got hit with 7 years of like awfulness and loss upon loss upon loss. I ended up meeting an Ecuadorian shaman in Annapolis. I worked with him for about 6 years. He was married to a friend of mine, and they invited me to Ecuador. I had just gotten divorced after 21 years, and just my son ended up staying with his dad, which is broke my heart. But it was the right thing to do at the time because he needed a male role model, and his dad's a good guy. And then I go to Ecuador and I meet the older brother, and then boom, my whole life is going like this, and it goes, big detour. And that's what the book, The Shaman's Wife, is about, was basically that journey. So the tagline is a mystical journey of surrender and self-discovery, because that pretty much encapsulates the relationship that spanned 8 years. Was like, I was always seeking, I've always been on this quest to marry the secular and the sacred. And as I'm going through all this loss, I meet this man who says, I can teach you to be bigger than your grief. I can teach you how to merge the sacred and the secular. And I was completely primed for that message. And then
because of your Colombian background?
Yes, because I had been experiencing these kind of metaphysical things in our family, which in our family was normal. But as my mother would say, don't tell the Americans. And so I was like, what is this? And why am I so different than everybody else? And, we call it intuition. It's a safe word, but I think there are people like me who have these other, one step beyond that experiences. And for me, that's how I serve people when I do guiding or advising or counseling or coaching, whatever you want to call it. And then, with the retreats I run here in the Algarve, I'm able to use Mother Nature, because it's absolutely stunning here, to teach the natural way, how to connect back to your essence of who you are, and then take that and manifest it in the world in a way that's aligned.
I think this is why a lot of people come here to the Algarve. They come on holiday and they experience a calmness and almost a urethral joy whilst they're here. And it's something that they can't explain, but they're drawn back and drawn back. I know I was.
Oh, and I have people who come who have been friends of mine for years, and now they're moving here, or they have moved here. Yeah. And I'm always like, kind of surprised when on the fourth day here, they're like, so what is it like living here? The minute they start that conversation, it's like, and can you tell me how you moved here? And then I think you're absolutely right. People get a taste of our lives here, and then the Algarve is stunningly beautiful, whether it's the ocean or even the countryside, like out near Silvis and Machines. And why wouldn't you want this? Yeah. That's kind of the thing. And because the world is so globally connected, those of us can work via internet globally. I mean, my work has been global, working with leaders all over the world for 15 years. So people who want to move here, you don't have to retire to move here. You can create a kind of work, and I wouldn't even call it work, a lifestyle that includes your life and your work in a way that I don't think you can do in many places.
No, I'd agree with you. And you just mentioned your retreat. Let's get back to that in just a second. The Shaman's Wife is the book that you were talking about just now, and you're now internationally acclaimed. As an author. Of course, this is your memoirs.
Yes.
And I was going to say you've gone on from this to write other things, but in fact you've been writing them all at the same time.
Yeah. So, the memoir took probably 5 years to actually from start to finish. And it's a very different kind of writing than I had done before. I had 2 books before that were personal development kinds of books. Memoir is emotional. Memoir has you dig really, really deep.
Emotional.
Oh, it's really deep. I was like, I don't think I was prepared. I know I wasn't prepared. So when I get people saying, I want to write a memoir, I said, be careful what you ask for. Because, as my mentor had said, to write the book that you were meant to write, you have to feel all the feels.
Absolutely.
And I think I've done that, because if you can feel it reading it.
I haven't got through to the end yet, but there's a few times I've gone back. I thought, okay, I've got too many feels at the moment. I'm going to have to put it down. And then the next day I'll go back and I'll just reread it, and then get past it, go on and do the next bit. And I've got to say that hasn't happened to me before. I'm usually start to cover, and that's it, start front to back. So it's digging deep, and knowing that we were going to come in here today, I was thinking, good grief, this has got to have hurt.
Yeah.
There's a lot of joy in here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of inspiration for other people. And I can see how this is going to start other people off on their journey, or say to them, you're on a journey, it's okay.
Yeah, whatever your journey is. I think, part of like the way I took on the memoir was the question, why would anybody care what I write? Why would anybody care about my life, right? And one of the things I came to is all human beings are wired for story. We're just wired for story.
We're nosy.
Yeah, we want to share. Our story is the way we learn from one another. Story is how we connect to one another. And so as you read my story, it's connecting to something in your story. You had that experience.
Absolutely.
You told me you're connecting to something in your story. So our individual stories are also collective stories. Yeah. They are the way that we connect to one another through these archetypal kinds of stories. And at one point, you and I talked about the difference between the hero's journey and the heroine's journey, right? And this is a heroine's journey, not a hero's journey. A hero's journey is much more about victory and conquest. For women, the heroine's journey is a deeper dive into who am I? Who am I at my core? What is it that I have to go into the depths of my being, into the shadow places, and reveal to myself so that I can take this wisdom and this learning out into the world for service? I'm not interested in victory or overcoming. I'm interested in taking what I've learned, gaining wisdom, and then bringing it back to the community. And that actually is a very shamanic process, because shamans were the people who went to the dark places, especially in indigenous cultures. They go to the dark places. They access alternative dimensions or alternative realities. And they take that and they bring it back to their community for healing of the community or for a healing of an individual. And so, some people think, oh, that's a lot of crap, that doesn't happen. I can tell you unequivocally, if you had told me some of the experiences I would have said, no, that can't be right. But having had these experiences, I'm not here to convince anybody about whether they were real or not. I'm here to share the possibility that you too can access a different part of yourself and a different place of wisdom that is at a higher level of consciousness than you thought you could. And that is possible.
And we all have it.
Oh,
it's whether or not you're going to accept it.
Accept it and not be afraid of it, because there's fear involved in it, because it's like like Pema Chodron said, when you step out of that nest, you don't know if you're going to fall or fly. I got to tell you. It's like when I moved to Portugal, my friends were like, but you don't know anyone, you've never been there, you don't speak the language, you're so courageous. And I would say to them, there's a fine line between courage and crazy, and I'm not sure what side of the line I'm on.
Exactly the same thing, so I know exactly what you mean.
Right. And I think, going back to what you said about the Algarve, how many people do you know that have moved to the Algarve daring to create a different kind of life, right? Because they're stepping into the unknown. You can do all the research in the world, and I encourage people whenever they move to a different country to do that. But until you live here, you still are sitting in the unknown, because there's so much that you don't know about the culture that you're coming into.
Certainly during the pandemic, we had people flying in with the dog, the cat, the kids and everything else, flying in. They'd been here for 2 weeks on holiday, and they'd come with their entire lives.
Yes.
Now, I get the whole tax benefits, etc., but there was something else.
Right.
Other countries have got tax benefits.
Right, exactly.
So there was something else that was bringing them here, and they were literally, we had the real estate had the best 2 years ever.
Right.
Just by people rocking up, buying things online without actually seeing anything.
Right.
They wanted to come back for the feels.
Yeah, for the feels, because it does. There's something about the energy in the Algarve. I think Portugal, like every other country, has its own, gastronomy in different areas, dialects in different areas. The energetic quality of being in a place is different in Lisbon than it is in the Algarve, than it is in Porto. And you're drawn to the attunement of your energy to a place. I think that's when you find what I call your place of belonging. Yeah. It's like there's an attunement between you and that place. I didn't have that in Lisbon when I arrived. There was a lot of dissonance. I arrived during COVID. I arrived with a dog from Ecuador. Lisbon went into lockdown, and then a friend of mine said, hey, I know someone in the Algarve, you can walk the dog on the beach. I'm like, I'm there. And then all of a sudden, I had actually told someone I would never live in the Algarve. I wanted to live in Setúbal or outside of Lisbon. And I come here and I'm like, ooh, this is very good. This is very me. And it is. It's very good.
So you've done that, and now you've created a non-retreat.
Yeah, the unretreat.
Unretreat, to help people recognise their own journey and to help people along with their own journey.
Right.
So as soon as I read about that, I thought, I've got to go. I want a week off, let me go. Can you tell us a bit about that? What does that involve? Because it's bespoke, isn't it, to an individual? You don't have 20 people that are turning up.
No. I mean, there's people running retreats all over the place. But what I found was where my strength and where I can actually really contribute my wisdom and my gift is one-on-one. And collaborating with Mother Nature in the Algarve. I bring people here, or people come here. It's called Becoming Limitless. They're here for a week. It's one-on-one. It's curated. I ask people to share what I call their burning question. What is the burning question that you haven't been able to resolve, or a challenge? Or are you at the cusp of making some kind of life transition and you don't have clarity about it?
Do they always know?
No, and actually it's better that they don't, because the people who come here with a sense of knowing, typically it's not the right thing.
Expectations, weren't they? That they're going to be looking,
And so the people who come here, it's like, I really don't know what's up with me. I know that there's something happening, like that kind of, nudge kind of thing that says something's not quite right, but I'm not quite sure what it is. So they come for all different reasons, and from all walks of life. And then after speaking with me, we have a session before they come, and I intuitively determine what I'm going to build into that week. And there's always nature. There's always some kind of healing session, either sound bowls or Reiki or massage or acupuncture or aromatherapy. One of the beautiful things about the Algarve is we have these amazing holistic practitioners here in the Algarve. Absolutely. And so I build that in, and then there's the dialogue. But the piece that is the most important is the piece that people don't understand. It's the piece that they are alone. There are, I'm not with them 24/7. That would absolutely kill me. And it's not really the point. The point is learning to be with, not by, with yourself, so that you can stop all the noise around you and actually listen to yourself in that silence, in that stillness, because that's where your answer is. So I had one person come and say, there's so much open space here. What am I going to do? And I'm going, trust me. And then later she goes, okay, now I get it. And it's that in the open space where they can go walking on the cliff by themselves, or they could go swimming in the ocean by themselves, or whatever. But that's what we miss in our busy lives, like in the United States and, some of the other places where you're like, go, 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 go. And you measure your self-worth by productivity. And then you come to a place, and I purposely turn it upside down.
You've always got your phone on. You've always got the
phone on.
You've always got
it's always like
Alexa or whatever it might be.
It's always pulling at you. So here, when you come, you're divested of all those distractions. You're divested of all the what I call crutches, the things that you default to because, I'm bored, I'm going to go scrolling. Well, here it's like, no, you're not. You're going to go for a walk on the beach instead. Yeah. You're not going to fill that void. You're going to sit in it, and you're going to listen. And it's difficult, and it's challenging, and it is transformational. Because I can tell you, every single person who's come to work with me, the only promise I can make to people, I can't promise that they're going to resolve their challenge because I don't know. I will promise, the only thing I can promise is you will leave differently than when you came. I can unequivocally
promise that. And your reviews
are
incredible.
Yes.
You've just, on every single thing I've written, it's been life-changing, but not just, I'm looking at things a different way now. It's life-changing.
Yeah, I've had some.
Absolutely
I had one woman say, you actually saved my life. So, and for me, that is so affirming. But like for me, what that process is something is coming through me, and this is what the metaphysical part is, and this is what the shaman Napo, who I lived with, taught me to do, to channel what I already had inside of me in service of, going back to the heroine side, in service of a person or a community. And I do that through my writing, I do that through the retreats, I do that through my coaching. And I'm just so blessed to be able to do that, to like fully live into, like, I want to say my purpose, but like the reason I'm here on earth. And I think it comes from, I mean, when people say I'm looking for purpose, I go, don't look outside. Don't go looking for it. It's not lost. Really, purpose is the result of self-knowledge. Start focusing on knowing yourself better, and purpose appears like that. So it's a very different approach to the way I work.
Well, I think also looking at everything you've done, there's a subliminal message. It doesn't matter if you're reading it or I tell you what, I think it was your website. I was going down, and all this information's coming at me, and it kept taking my breath away. And then at the bottom, there's a little box with a go, with a thing, and at the background I could see it said "Just breathe."
Oh yeah.
Okay. And I was expecting to see you saying, "Start from here and breathe up," and so I pushed go, and it just said, "Just breathe," and it said, "Take a moment." And it said, "Just breathe."
Yeah.
Take a moment. And the smile on my face, you know what? With all this stuff, that's exactly what I needed at that time.
Yeah.
And there are certain words that you're using with the recommendations, referrals, the
testimonials.
Thank you. That's the word. You don't have that. What did you say?
I call it praise.
It was
on the website. It says praise.
Love or.
Oh yeah, client love.
Client love.
Yeah. So
you're saying exactly what everybody wants you to feel, or everybody wants to feel.
Yeah.
But you've phrased all these different things in this other way that just makes you so relatable, because it's not the way to put things.
No,
it's the way you feel things.
Yeah, and for me, it is feel all the feels, like my writing mentor said. But I think, you know, in a world that's so chaotic and so full of noise, I truly believe that unless you are authentic, unless you can own who you are and your gifts without apology, unapologetically saying, you know, I'm not for everyone, I'm okay with that, and I'm actually really, really good with that. But for those of you who like are interested in this kind of journey, I'm here for you, you know. And I think when the website was a rebrand a couple of years ago, and I have another website for the leadership coaching because it's a different kind of brand. But when I went through this branding process for the website that you're referring to under my name, it was what do I stand for? What do I believe? And just, you know, and there's a sense of, if I speak this out loud, I'm allowing myself to be vulnerable, because will they like it? Will they accept it? Will they pay me for this? On and on, you know, all that conversation that we have in our head. But then it's like, but then why the hell wouldn't I do it?
Yeah.
You know, why wouldn't I be me?
I was going to say in your name, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's like, that's the only way I'm going to be happy. So I kind of, when I work with entrepreneurs, I say, you know, the number one thing isn't about what the market will bear or what your clients want. The number one thing is, what do you want? Who are you? And what are the gifts that you're willing to share with people to make their lives better? Start there.
So what is Alícia Rodriguez working on at the moment?
Oh, I have 2 new books.
Of course you do.
I was like 3 new books, but like, I am doing the 2nd edition of my first book called Everyday Epiphanies. And it's a 2nd edition of it. So it takes into account, and Everyday Epiphanies I wrote, in 2007, almost 20 years ago. So I took a week off, and I actually intended to work on this other book called The Stillness Within. And all of a sudden, Everyday Epiphanies popped up, and I ended up editing the whole thing. So I'm hoping that that's going to be ready to go by May 1. I'm going to be publishing maybe by the fall, The Stillness Within, and it's a book around why it's so important to be still, and some practices, some prompts for people. So it's a very, it's a reflective kind of book. And then I'm finishing the audio book for The Shaman's Wife, and that should be ready to go by May 1. And so that's a really big one, because I've never done an audiobook and I'm narrating it. So it's really been a learning experience, but I'm doing it with someone who's really
I think
good.
this is powerful now.
So when I read it,
to another doesn't it? And did I not see something about poetry as well?
Yes, I have been writing poetry since I was 10 years old. I've been taking some poetry classes online with some poets that are really, I just admire. So I will probably, I think probably in the fall, I'll be able to put together what's called a chapbook. But like last summer, I was all about launching The Shaman's Wife. It was published in September last year. So my whole summer was taken up with marketing and launch events, and I had no summer. So this summer I promised myself that I would give myself a little more permission to not take on so much as I did before.
I think also looking at, so your books are available on so many platforms, so I'm going to ask you to let us know where we can go and buy those. But there was also something I was seeing where you've said, get yourself a book and a pen, get yourself paper and a pen. And as you're reading, and these thoughts are coming up, I'd have written about, I don't know, 3 episodes myself if I'd done that first. But to write down your thoughts. So you're already helping people.
Yeah, actually the book has a companion journal. It has, it's called a Companion Journal and Book Club Guide, and it's downloadable from my website. Okay. And so it's the kind of thing where you'll print out, it's a PDF. You print it out, and as you're reading, I'm asking questions for you to like connect the story to your story and to reflect on your own story as you're going through my story. Wow. Yes, I'll send you the link. Wow.
No,
no, don't do that. More stuff. But yeah, and then there's a book club guide for those people who I've been inviting people to, invite me to their book clubs, either on Zoom or in person if we're here in the Algarve. And I can speak to what it's like to write a memoir, and about the journey itself, and also just from a point of view of what was I thinking when I was writing. I think that's just really interesting for someone who may or may not want to write a memoir, but is interested in memoir.
And I think also that the 10th of April, correct me if I'm wrong, 10th of April, you're also going to be talking, your guest speaker with the Algarve Women's Network.
Yes.
In Lagos?
No, not Lagos, out near Porches.
Okay. So the western.
Yes, because I live out near Cabrera.
Okay.
So we're doing that. So the Algarve Women's Network is a really amazing network of very dynamic women here, run primarily by Camilla Sitwell. And she's got, I think, over 2,000 women in it.
Good grief.
Yeah. And from all nationalities and all places. And so, we're going to be doing a session on personal branding.
Okay. Well, what I'll do is, as usual on my Instagram, Living Life Algarve, I'm going to put details up there for you so that you know exactly how to either contact the Algarve Women's Network and also your details. There's a lot of websites and a lot of things there, Alícia. So if you'd like to tell our viewers primarily how to get hold of you, and then with all the Instagrams and things, we'll link after that and put more details out there. Yeah,
so I think primarily everything is sourced from my website. It's under Alícia M. Rodriguez with a Z.com, AlíciaMRodriguez.com. There's information about the book. There's a page specifically for the book, so it shows you where you can buy the book. It's on Amazon and most retailers. It is only in English right now. Kobo. Yeah. And then the other thing is, if you want to follow my journey in pictures, it's Instagram, and it's Ms. Alícia M. Rodriguez, at Ms. Alícia M. Rodriguez. But mainly it's off the website. That's how people can get a hold of me. The retreats are there, the books are there, the writing's there. I have a Substack I write called Nothing is Ordinary, because I just want to keep writing.
I was going to say, and this is why I let you say it all, because I wouldn't remember it. So what I'll do is I said Living Life Algarve, that's my Instagram page. I'm going to list everything there for you, and I'm going to let you or help you on your journey to meet Alícia. So that's all we've got time for. I hate to say it. Thank you so much for coming in. And hopefully I'll come up and I'll see you on the 10th of April.
Oh, I hope so.
That'll be another part of my journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, it's been great.
Thank you very much indeed.
All right, thank you. Thank you all.
Go and get your copy. See you again soon. Thank you for joining us again. Texas, go and get your copy. This is available internationally, and we'll see you again next time. See you. See you soon. Bye.
Kit and Caboodle, high-quality pre-loved furniture. GC Partners, our service is our currency. At Living Life Algarve by Kat Almeida.